Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 142.
142.
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we? I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
Well, the trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way. Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy, howdy do, Who fans. We're at episode 142. Thank you very much for joining. Hope you've had a cracking week. And that you've managed to do Summit Doctor Who related. Oxygen.
Yeah.
Who went back to being alien-esque.
In
space. Yeah, lots of corridors, atmosphere, creepy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, our review will be up in a matter of minutes. Well, probably about half an hour.
I was going to say, yeah, probably about 45 minutes.
Yeah. Stick with us, because that's coming. We've also got quite a bit of news to get through. Lots of rumour and Chinese whispers and talk launching around the internet at the moment.
Yes,
one of them was confirmed.
Things leaking.
Leakage, yes. One of them was confirmed, which we'll speak about. Which is fairly interesting, but understandable. Then we've got some other new stuff. No merch this week.
No, keep that Dalek out.
Yep.
What's he called? I've forgotten. What's his name?
We haven't named him yet.
Haven't we?
No.
Oh.
Maybe our listeners can name him.
Yeah.
Give our Dalek a name.
Our merch Dalek. Yeah, let us know what he should be called.
He's not looking... I keep saying he. It's not very... It could be a... It's not a he or a she, is it? It's an it.
An it.
Yeah. It is stuck out in the rain right now, looking very, very upset.
I'm not surprised. It's pouring down out there. It actually is. It couldn't be a more grey, wet morning out there. It's a bit bleak.
Yeah.
Good job we're inside.
Keeps complaining of rust and all sorts. I don't really care.
Rusty. No, there's already a Dalek called Rusty.
Yeah, we've already had one.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we'll stick that out to our listeners. Name our merch Dalek.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll send you a couple of bits for whoever we pick out as the coolest name.
A packet of jelly babies. Maybe.
If they're fortunate enough.
If they don't get lost in the post. Wink, wink.
What have you been up to, mate? Anything?
Not a great deal, no.
It's been quiet, hasn't it?
It has been quiet, this week. Yeah, I got one little package through. I got the rest of the Mr. Men books. I got a couple, but a couple were out of stock. And I got the Dr. First arrived the other day. So I've now got the 4 that have been released. Did you pick them up in the end?
Not yet, no.
Okay, because I know you really liked Dr. First, didn't you? That was the one that caught your eye. I have to say, I've flicked through all 4 and they are brilliant. I think some people have said, "Oh, I don't get it. Like, why?" I don't know if it's like an age thing because we're similar age, aren't we? Well, I mean, we grew up with the Mr. Men, and I've always loved the Mr. Men. So for me, I think it's a fantastic crossover. And you pointed out the little bits, like the little worm in the ground and stuff like that was in the original that they've got in this. It's just little things like that. And I got to tell you, I absolutely love these books. I can't wait for the rest of them. I know you pointed out they haven't done the 10th Doctor one yet, but I'm sure he's coming. But yeah, it's just lovely. I just got them. I got them from FP, and they arrived signed by Adam Hargreaves, who's the son of Roger Hargreaves, who actually did the originals. So that's really nice. So they're nicely signed inside. That's why I said I flicked through them, because I was so careful. I sort of don't want to, because they're signed, I'm sort of reading them just half open. I don't want to sort of bend the spine or anything, because they're really lovely, actually. So that's the only thing I've had this week. It's been quite a light week. Good for the wallet, though. Hey.
Well, that's a bonus, at least.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So my wallet's taken a deep breath. But so that's me, mate. Not a lot, but I did see that you managed to go to an FP that I don't think you've been to before, have you?
No. I
saw your picture.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I had been to it before, but very briefly.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so I was up in Liverpool because me and a fan were doing a charity run up there. Something called the Run for the 96, which was, the Hillsborough disaster years back.
Yes.
It's like it's a run to sort of to commemorate that stuff and raise money for those guys. So we were up there doing it on a Sunday, and on a Saturday, as I normally do when we visit anywhere, I'll just have a quick Google, is there a forbiddenplanet.com or international knocking about? So I found this one, and I would say it's not a very big Forbidden Planet in Liverpool, but they have got quite a sizable Who section.
Was it an international or the other one?
No, it was the rocket ship one.
Oh, it's the rocket ship one. Oh, okay. Because I was I love it when people post pictures excuse me, of like shops, because the first thing I do is zoom in and try and work out what they've got on the shelves. So that's the first thing I did when you posted it. It's like, oh, what have they got? Look like they got a few T-shirts,
yes,
and loads of books and stuff. And yeah, looks like they had a fair few bits in there. Did you pick anything up?
I did not.
Oh
no, purely because I just didn't fancy anything there. Because when I say they had a sizable section, they did, and I would go as far as to say that it's probably slightly bigger than what the London Megastore have got happening right now.
Yeah,
in terms of Who, because they've really whittled their section down a lot. The Megastore
has gone.
Yeah. So they were just not. They had plenty of figures there and books and DVDs and T-shirts and stuff, but it just wasn't big. That's not their fault though. I just think there isn't anything from the Beeb recently that's it's really slowed down the output of merch, hasn't it? From
definitely. Well, that's why our Dalek friends outside in the rain, because there just isn't that much. There's T-shirts and stuff banging around and the comics and that, but there isn't anything. Yeah, there's not a lot of merch out there compared to what we used to get in terms of figures and things. Yeah, that's true.
I used to really enjoy. This is going back maybe. Well, it was only a couple of years ago, I would say. Really enjoyed heading into London, going to the Forbidden Planet Megastore and picking up at least half a dozen pieces of Doctor Who merch that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you won't get that now. It's the most you get is like, I don't know. Yeah, like you say, there's a few T-shirts that they still bring out now and then, and there's a steady stream of books.
Isn't there?
Yeah, there's a stream of books, which is okay, but So yeah, Liverpool, it was cool. They had a fairly decent size there, and it seems to be really sort of inconsistent with the Who ranges throughout Forbidden Planet. So if you go into the Megastore in London, or I think there's another Megastore that opened recently, I think the Newcastle branch, they refurbed that's now a Megastore, but they've got a very small Who section in there.
Yeah,
but if you go into somewhere like the Brighton one or the Liverpool one, it's got a fairly decent sized section. And then surprisingly, if you go into FP International in Cardiff, they've got a tiny little Who section.
Nothing, yeah.
Upstairs, buried away.
Yeah, I must admit, I was like so excited when I found the one in Cardiff, because I was expecting it to have loads. And then went upstairs, I think it's upstairs, yeah. And there's just nothing in there, is there? There's like a few, it's like that Clara bobblehead, about 1,000 of them, all at one, reduced to $1.99, and that was about it. I was like, no, surely Cardiff. Maybe it's because all the Doctor Who fans have bought it all. I don't know, but yeah, it was disappointing.
Very.
Yeah.
Plenty of Drashig toys knocking about.
I can't believe they still got so many of it. It's a $9.99 as well. They keep reducing it.
I can believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can absolutely see why they've got loads left, because they're...
I did have to laugh because Big Finish just announced the titles for their fourth Doctor range, didn't they? Coming up in when is it? It's just like ages off. Is it 2019?
January 2019. This one. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Well, I saw it on there and I thought I'm just going to see if Gary mentions it, because one of them that's coming out is what's it called? Planet of the Drashigs.
Planet of the Drashigs.
Planet of the Drashigs. So they're coming back on Big Finish, and a bit like you, I was thinking, because I know you don't like the Drashigs, but I like them, and I was thinking, how are they going to do that? Because they just make that noise. But then again, as you pointed out, they did a fairly decent job with the Weeping Angels that don't make a noise. So
true.
Yeah, we'll see, but we'll have to wait a couple of years. 2019.
Well, they like to plan ahead, don't they?
They do, don't they? It's good to know we'll still be getting, Fourth Doctor adventures all the way to 2019 there. That's cool.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Bloody Drashigs.
I know. How is that going to work? I don't know. But
I don't know.
Be interesting.
Yeah. So a fairly quiet week other than that. I haven't really done much in the run up to us recording this. I've obviously watched Oxygen a couple of times. I haven't watched any Classic Who in a while. I've just been wrapped up in new Doctor Who and Capaldi and stuff.
No, that's a good point. I haven't either, actually. Not for any reason. Just like you, I've been quite wrapped up in Series 10 and a bit of Big Finish and that. So no, I haven't watched a classic for a while. In fact, I was just saying to you, I was supposed to be going out this afternoon, but it is so horrifically bad in terms of weather today. I might use that as an excuse to just stay in and watch some Classic Who, because I haven't watched a classic for a while.
That sounds great to me.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I might do that. Which one though? Love going to the shelf, don't you? The classic shelf.
Oh, it's awesome.
Which one? Yeah.
You can. There are times where you can spend more time. There have been more than one occasion where my wife has come into our living room and found me sitting there cross-legged in front of our DVD tower shelf thing.
Yeah.
And what are you doing down there? So, well, my legs are aching because I've stood up for about 20 minutes trying to decide what to watch. So now I'm sitting down. It can be real. Yeah, the struggle is real.
It is, because sometimes I think, now, do I want to watch one that I know I love?
Yeah.
Like a classic, or do I want to go rogue and pick one that perhaps I didn't like, but maybe this time, I'll like it. So a bit like the Sunmakers. You remember, didn't like that one at all, and then we did it, and I thought I actually quite like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to throw in a curveball and maybe pick one that you think's awful, but you never know. You might be in the mood for it.
Yes.
I am slightly jealous of you, actually, because, and I do often think this, one of the things I loved about the podcast when you started, but I love the fact that there's still a couple of classics out there you haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm jealous of that, because I'd love it if there was like one or two that were still out there for me to get. Do you know what I mean? Because it'd be like watching New Who, isn't it? It's like you've still got adventures you haven't. And I'm kind of jealous of that, because the closest I can get to it is if I haven't watched one for a very, very long time, or if it's one that I didn't like and perhaps really switched off when I watched it, and then when I watch it again, I've paid attention if we're reviewing it, and I've loved it. So that's the closest I can get to sort of having a classic that I haven't sort of seen. So I'm kind of jealous. There's still a couple, isn't there, that you've got to come that will be completely fresh and new to you.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other week actually, what I've got left to do, and I think I've got all of Davison and McCoy and obviously Baker, all of Troughton. So I think I've got about 80%, 85%.
Yeah.
So there's still a chunk there that I need to pick up and see. A few of those I've seen online, but there's still a chunk that I need to get through. So it is a good feeling. It's great to know that there's fresh Classic Who.
Yeah, and I think it's quite cool it's a bit like when I watch the Who Addicts live streams when they're watching a classic, and very often Liv, who's part of that group, she very often hasn't seen them. Mm-hmm. And it's quite exciting if you love a story and thinking, they're seeing it for the first time. And for example, recently they watched The City of Death. And of course, we're all telling Liv how good it is. We're like, The City of Death is a gem. It's a classic. You're going to love it. And she just didn't like it. And it was and then it's that thing of you're like, oh no, but you must like it because we all love it. And why don't you like it? And it's like, it's always gutting if you love something and somebody it doesn't. But it's also really cool to be sort of experiencing somebody watching something for the first time that you think is good. So you still got a couple of little adventures, haven't you, to watch? Yeah. I sometimes think of ones, and there's one that's in the back of my mind, like when we're doing the schedule. So when we finish reviewing Series 10, we'll start getting back into the classics every fortnight. And I was sort of already thinking now, what could we put on the schedule? And there's a couple that I'm sort of really interested to see your reaction to. One of those, I don't know if you've seen this one, is Megalos, the Fourth Doctor one, where he turns into a cactus. I can't remember if you've seen that, but that's one of the ones. Yeah, that's a pretty divisive story. And I keep thinking, that might have to go on there at some point, because I'm quite keen to hear your thoughts on that one. So but it's all good. It's all very exciting.
Indeed, I can't wait. There's a few I need to crack.
There are a few like that you sort of think, what will Gary make of a Fourth Doctor cactus crossover?
It's we haven't got any Classic Who on our plan until obviously Series 10 is done, and that's not till the second week of July. So first week of July, the Doctor falls, the last episode of Series 10, and then we're on to...
Then we'll be to a classic, won't we?
Yeah, we will be.
Yeah.
So, bit of a wait, so we might have to crack on and rewatch some of the old classics, get back into the classic mood.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So shall we land it and do some news?
Yeah, let's get into news.
We have some ratings in. Confirmed ratings for Knock Knock. So now that the full week has passed and we've got past the overnights and all that gumph, we've now got the official stuff. And it's 21 out of 30 this week.
21.
Or last week, should I say. Yeah, 21st in the list out of 30. So we do have to caveat some of this as usual and say that they list out every episode of the soaps individually. So
yes,
there's 5 entries for Corrie, 5 for Emmerdale, 5 for EastEnders. So effectively, 15 slots are taken up by one show. So, you know, if you consolidate those, we would be, you know, I don't know, 16th. No, much higher than that. We'd be like 7th in the list or something like that. Anyway, we were 21st, and we have an official rating of 5.73 million viewers. Knock Knock, and I believe, could be wrong, but that's up a little bit from the week before.
I think it is, yeah. Yes, it is. It's just slightly up, isn't it?
Yes. So we were beaten on, obviously, the soaps, but we were still beaten on Britain's Got Talent.
Peter Kay's still in there.
Peter Kay's car share, yeah. Something called the Durrells or the Durrells.
The Durrells. Yeah, I've not watched that. I've heard of it, but yeah.
And quite
Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah, I was going to say, disappointingly, we were beaten.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder, but I hadn't spotted that, and it just made me gasp.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Antiques Roadshow has pipped who? Not by much.
Now that is a bit disappointing, isn't it?
Yes.
The funny thing is, like you said, it's still quite a respectable figure. It's still up on last week, and obviously it's gained since the overnight figures. But sort of the back end of that is that this week's Oxygen, the overnights were bad, really bad. They were like the lowest overnights, I think, for an episode since what was it? Since Ghostlight or something. I don't know. Since like it's like the third worst ever the Doctor Who's ever got.
Yeah.
Which is quite a shame, actually. I mean, again, it will go up once the rest of it's been added on. But yeah, it's a shame when you see that, because obviously we were on the way up, and to have quite a big dip this week is quite disappointing. But we'll see. You know, obviously next week we'll report back on the sort of update on that. But yeah, we're on the way up with Knock Knock anyway, which is good.
Yeah, I think Oxygen, overnight it's 3.5 million or something.
Yeah, I can't. What was the episode? It was like it's like the third worst, lowest ever.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, which is, makes it sound really shockingly bad. But again, you've got to sort of put everything in context. So it won't be once we get the final figure.
Yeah.
And also, I forget who it was. Somebody involved in Doctor Who. I've forgotten who. I was reading a really interesting thing that they wrote about it, just saying that, how they actually come up with these figures and the actual reality of what the figure is, in other words, take it a little bit of a pinch of salt, because, how they actually gather this data is still very much questionable, in terms of the reality of who's actually watching. So, it's still doing well.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Next up, we have some Big Finish news.
Yes, some big Finish news. Yes, and I thought of you straight away because I know you love the 10th Doctor. So I'm sure our listeners have heard by now, because literally I think not only did the internet explode, but Big Finish's website completely exploded, didn't it? Like, you couldn't get on it for hours. It completely crashed. With people getting on. So For those of you that don't know, the 10th Doctor and Rose are back together for Big Finish in the second volume of the 10th Doctor Adventures. We actually reviewed the first volume, didn't we?
We did.
When it came out, and we reviewed it quite favourably with Catherine Tate as Donna. It was a nice set, very easy to get into. Wouldn't say it was groundbreaking, but it was just good, wasn't it?
It was pretty good, actually.
Just fun. Yeah, it was a nice set. I think it's great, actually, that we've now got the second set with Rose, because I think it makes it different. So we'll have one with Donna, one with Rose. So I'm really happy about this. I think it's great news. And particularly, and I know you're going to agree with me here, Gary, absolutely loving the fact that Jackie is on the cover.
Yes.
Because I want to hear Jackie and Ten on audio. I just think, because I love Jackie as a character, and I love her interaction with Ten as well. So I'm really excited about this release. It's coming out in November, I think, isn't it?
It is, yes. You can order it now. There's 2 editions. You've got the normal standard vanilla release, or you've got the limited edition one, which comes in the larger book style. Okay, so I think I got the... Hold on, let me spin around.
You must have got the book one. I'm sure you did.
Yes, I got volume 1 in that special edition set, so I'll probably order this one as well.
Yes.
In the limited edition. I haven't ordered it yet. I don't know why. I'll have to jump on and do that.
I love the cover. I don't know about you. I really
cool.
like it. It's got an ice warrior on the front. It's got some sort of pig thing.
Warthog.
What is it?
Warthog.
Oh, Warthog. Yeah. Oh, yes. And Jackie and Rose and the TARDIS was here. I really like the cover. I think it looks really nice. Yeah.
It's very cool.
I thought, I mean, obviously there was a lot of positivity towards this, but I also saw, as you'd seem to get a lot of these days, I saw a lot of people moaning, oh, Rose is back, oh, God. And I was thinking, what? Just be happy. I think this is awesome. You know, okay, I know Rose was annoying in Series 2. I get that. But to have them back on audio together, I just think it's a great thing to have for Volume 2. You know, I mean, I would, as much as I loved the Catherine Tate stuff, and I would have been perfectly happy if they'd have done a Volume 2 with her, I think it's great that we've got Rose, so we've got a different companion for Volume 2. You know, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm glad it's out in November this year as well, because Big Finish do have a habit, as we've just said, of announcing these things well in advance. So when it was announced, I thought, oh, what's this going to be like? You know, January 2030 when I'm dead. You know, so I'm glad it's November this year that it's coming out, so we get it quite soon.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I thought that I thought this would. I was more shocked at the time that this came out, because I was so convinced that once Volume 1 had been and gone, I thought, well, David Tennant is so busy. It's going to be literally 8 years until he's, freed up again to do some more. So I'm really surprised that they've already started it, and it's going to be ready for November. So it's really cool. And I have seen all of the stuff. I won't say all of it, but I've seen a bunch of tweets and so on about, a lot of hating on Rose being back and so on. You just got to have Big Finish. You need to just put all your faith in Big Finish, because very rarely do they let you down. So they've got such great story writers, and the production values are so high now that it really is very, like I said, very rarely do they big something up and then you get it and then it's a failure, or it's not very good. So just have some faith in Big Finish to write Rose very well. Really, good Doctor companion story. So
yeah, and also it will be cool. And you say about David Tennant as well. I mean, he is a busy guy. Let's not be around the bush, but he is the man, isn't he? He's obviously such a fan. I mean, he's it's great that he's just so involved in this. I just love the fact that he's made time to do it, and he's clearly wants to do it, because let's face it, he doesn't have to. It's not like he needs to do this. Do you know what I mean? He just clearly wants to. And I think that will come out in the audio when we listen to it. He's clearly still loves playing the Doctor, which is great. I mean, I can't help but, because they've just released the 9th Doctor Chronicles this month, and I can't help but notice the massive difference between that and this in terms of, how much David Tennant just is such a great ambassador for Doctor Who. And that's nothing. I'm not having a swipe at Chris. His decisions and his reasons are his own, and I do respect that. I'm not having a go at him, but I'm just saying, David Tennant you can't knock the guy. He's just a brilliant ambassador for Doctor Who, and he
absolutely
just throws himself into it. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Are you saying about the you were surprised about the timing of this? I can't help but think of two other things as well. One, do you remember Billy accidentally blabbed it out at a convention recently? She was like, I've done some audios with David for Big Finish. And it was at a convention about a month or two back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And people were like, what? It's like, what? And,
yeah.
And then it was sort of hushed, covered over. So bless you, Billy, for just blurting that out and starting the whole rumours fueling. And then, as is just becoming the norm these days, this leaked really early. And then it got all wrapped. Yeah, they put it on the Big Finish, accidentally popped it up on their website. They were supposed to announce it at 5:00, I think, on Monday, was it? Forget what day now.
On Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Yeah. And of course they accidentally popped it up on the website in the morning, and somebody screen grabbed it, and before you knew it, it was everywhere. And I was just like, I saw this cover and I was thinking all day long, I really hope this is true, because the cover looks like a proper cover, and but you just don't know these days. So finally at 5:00, even though we all kind of knew about it, it was finally confirmed by Big Finish. So that was great. That was nice. But
yeah, and you can imagine there's the guy that's running the updates or the website goes into Nick Briggs' office and, I bought you a cup of tea and wondered if we could have a chat about that pay rise. He's like, get out. Busy. He's like, I'll sort you out, don't worry.
I thought you were going to say you put the mug down, accidentally pressed the button on the keyboard.
Oh, he fell over and led on the... Oh, no. Sorry about that, Nick.
Sorry.
Accidentally on purpose, just...
I sometimes wonder if they do it on purpose, actually, all these leaks. It seems we get leaks all the time, but I don't know. Just before we move off this, how many stories is it? Is it 3 or 4? It's 3, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Story 1 is called The Infamy of the Zaros.
Infamy. They've all got an infamy.
Yeah. Story 2 is Sword of the Chevalier.
Oh.
Or Chevalier, whichever you want to sort it. They call it. And number 3 is Cold Vengeance. Yeah. So they sound pretty good, actually. Good.
They do. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. It won't surprise you to know I've pre-ordered it immediately.
Of course. Yeah. And talking of David Tennant, I saw an interview recently with him because he's starring in something in London at the West End at the moment. I think it's Don Juan.
That's it, yeah.
And he was being interviewed. I think it was a BBC interview. And the interview was about 15 minutes. And for 10 minutes, they were talking about the show, the West End show, and his role and how he gets into preparing for theatre and all that stuff. And then the last 5 minutes, so the interviewer said, well, it's a great show, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, right, so Doctor Who. And you could see David Tennant immediately sit up in his chair. And he had his face just sort of lit up like a Christmas tree.
Really?
Yeah. And he said, so obviously with Peter going, do you know who's going to replace him as the Doctor? And he's just like, no, of course not. He went, even if I did know. And he gave a little pause then. He went, even if I did know, I probably couldn't say anything, could I? And the guy's like, oh, okay, right. So have you got any advice on a new Doctor anyway? Started talking away. And then he said, he asked him another question about just Who in general. And the way that there was a big contrast between how David was answering questions about the first part of the interview, about his show in the West End, versus those final few minutes where he's quizzing him about Doctor Who. And you can just see in his body language and in his face that he still absolutely loves Doctor Who and loves being a part of it. And like you said, he's such a great ambassador. He never shies away from any questions about it, or he's happy to talk about it. And I love that about David.
That's why I was so pleased when you said his face lit up, because I did wonder what you're going to say. Because I have to tell you that that's not always the case when I've seen other actors who have played the Doctor, and we're not going to name any names, but normally if Doctor Who comes up with some of them, they do get a bit like, oh, well, I've done other things, I'm not just the Doctor, I have done other work. And, so it's great that David's, like you said, his face did light up and he wasn't like, oh, Doctor Who again, it's years since I left that show, but go on. It's great that he actually genuinely seems to enthuse about it still.
Well, he's clever, you see. He's really clever because he uses that because if he knows that, I'm not saying this is intentional and this is a big grand master plan from him, but he knows that, if he keeps in with the Who fandom, and embraces it and still carries on doing stuff, all of those fans, they will follow him and be into all the other stuff that he does as well. So, so he knows, he doesn't just sort of frown and roll his eyes when somebody brings up Doctor Who and he's like, oh, crikey, here we go. Yeah. I'm not here to talk about Doctor Who like some other actors have done, not naming any names. So that sort of turns people off when you've got people listening or watching that are really big Who fans. And then they're like, oh, I'm not talking about Who, and they're like, okay, screw you then.
Or the phone goes down on an interview. Matt Smith was on Graham Norton recently, and I love Matt, and I think he's pretty cool. He still talks about it, but I wouldn't say he seemed slightly awkward when Graham mentioned Doctor Who on the show. I felt his body language, like you said about David's body language, changed for the better. Matt seems perfectly happy to talk about it, but yeah, David just seems to sort of go the extra mile somehow, I think. Yeah. So
he's a good guy.
Yeah. He is a good guy.
So big finish. The 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2 in November. Get that pre-ordered. Further news. I'm not sure how you feel about this one. A lot of people both angry, sad and confused. So Michelle Gomez is hanging up what is she going to hang up?
Her umbrella and hat of fruit.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So she's leaving. So at the end of series 10, she's being thrown out into the wheelie bin out in the alleyway at the back of the BBC with Capaldi, and apparently this is her decision. So I'm not sure which way to read this one, mate, because her reasons are I'm quoting her now. She's saying everybody's leaving, so I'm going too. I mean, I wouldn't do it without Peter and Stephen. She says, it's done now. It's over. It's the end of a chapter. So her reasonings for it is because Peter's going, basically, and because she's such a fan of the Moff's writing and how well he's written for Capaldi, especially this series. She feels that, with them two going, there's not really a place for her.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to continue without them. And I can kind of see that. I can see why you'd want to do that. But there's also a little part of me that thinks that she's just been good old-fashioned fired.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, she's had a bit of Alan Sugar action. But it just feels like Chibnall's like, well, I'm not including any Missy stuff from here on in. So there's unless I tell you otherwise, there's the door.
It would have been interesting to see if he wrote her any different, or how how Missy would have been under Chibnall's writing, wouldn't it? Because Moffat writes her very zany, doesn't he? He writes that she's crackers. Mm-hmm. I just found it strange that it was announced because, when the Doctor leaves, I can understand announcement, but I can't think of any other actor, sort of like that's been in a supporting part or whatever, like that, being announced as leaving. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? I can't, like when who else can we compare it to? Like when, I suppose Billy, yes. I don't know. It just seemed odd that they made this big announcement that Michelle Gomez was leaving Doctor Who, because she's only been in a few episodes.
Yeah, she featured quite prominently in Series 8, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just, I find it just a bit strange. It does make me wonder if it's going to tie in with the whole John Sim thing. And my personal feelings are that I've grown to quite like Missy. I don't know about you. I mean, I am glad she's not in it more than she is. Let's put it that way, because I think she could be really overkill because of the fact that she is so in your face. So, I mean, for example, what's it? Which is Familiar, and what's the other one? The Magician's Apprentice. Yeah. So I quite liked her, and I remember liking her in episode 1, The Magician's Apprentice, but then finding her a bit too much in the second one. So I don't know. I quite like Missy, but I'm not that bothered that she's leaving, if that makes sense. I'll be quite happy to see another incarnation of the Master come in, because I kind of think she does work reasonably well with Peter's Doctor. I mean, it was ghastly in Death in Heaven when she was kissing him and all that. I mean, that was just awful. But But since then, I think the two of them worked fairly well together. So I kind of get it why she wants to move on.
Yeah, fellow Scotsman and all that.
Yeah, Stephen Moffat, he's a Scotsman, isn't he?
Yeah. So they're all going.
They're all off. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. I'm not too.
Do you like Missy? You're a bit like me. You're sort of she's all right, but you're not a massive fan of it. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I can take it. I can take her or leave her.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I really enjoy what Michelle Gomez has done with that part. I think she was intentionally meant to disrupt, the whole gender thing and mix it up and give us something very, very different. And I think that's mission accomplished on the whole. And I'm not sure really. For me, it depends on what we see of her in this series. So, the last few times that we're going to see her in Series 10, she might be amazing. And at the end of Series 10, we're like, oh man, it's going to be a shame that she's not coming back. But at the moment, it's just, it's kind of expected, I suppose, but not too,
I like the fact they built on the Doctor's sort of friendship with the Master. I think that's why I started to warm towards her more in Series 9, because that sort of reminded me of the Delgado and Doctor sort of relationship, of the fact that he was always trying to kill him, but also there was this friendship there, which made for a really odd balance. And they sort of tapped into that more in Series 9.
That's
so
right.
I started to like her a bit more, if you know what I mean, because there seemed to be this genuine rivalry stroke friendship between the two of them. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'm getting on board with Missy as the Master now. I can see that. So if they sort of continue that, be interesting. And like you said, it might be sad to see it go, but yeah. So anyway, Michelle Gomez, she's hanging up a Mary Poppins brolly for now. Right, last bit of news. The BBC are launching a new 360 mobile game, which as Gary explained to me before we kicked off, because I didn't know what it was all about. But it's basically it's like one of these photos that when you move your phone round, the photo moves with it, isn't it?
The 360.
360, which are very cool, actually. So it'll be the TARDIS, I guess, and you'll move it round, and there'll be all these things. And so that's when's this coming out? Let's have a look.
This is out now.
Oh, it's out now.
Yes,
right.
And if you head over to bbc.in/DW360, as in the numbers 360, you have to do it on your phone or a tablet or something mobile. You can't just do it on unless you want to pick up your big desktop computer and try and do it with that. Essentially, you're piloting the TARDIS through the time vortex, and as those sort of endless running games like Mario Run and what those older style ones that have been out for a while, sort of Tomb Runner and stuff like that. It's that sort of thing where it's an endless game. There's no start and finish, and it gets progressively more difficult as you go through. But you have to control it. There's no on-screen buttons or anything that you tap and move. You have to physically move your phone around in a 360 environment as you're moving the TARDIS through space and stuff. So it's a very cool idea. It's another one of those little sort of technological advancements that the BBC are doing quite heavily. We've seen over the last few weeks, we've reported on things like the BBC Microbit, and they also added that bot, didn't they, to the Skype
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
So it's just another little thing that they're really pushing sort of tech at the moment, and computing and coding and stuff. So, and I haven't tried it yet because the news only literally landed minutes before we were going to record. So when we're done, I'll have a play and report back. But it does sound very cool.
It does look, it does sound like a nice little idea, and it's free, isn't it?
It's free because it's not on the App Store. I am checking. Or anything. It's just a free little thing. Just a URL that you go to, and there's a big turquoisey button that says play. You just tap that and away you go. Literally,
can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's going to do for news.
Yep.
No merch. Dalek bracket, insert name here, bracket is still outside, so we're going to keep it out there.
And I don't know if you can hear, but the rain is really coming down.
It's thundering down.
So we'll be getting soaked. Yeah.
Yeah. Stupid thing. Right. Review time. Adam. Don't waste too many breaths saying this, but what we can do this week?
Space. The Final Frontier.
Oh, for God's sake.
That's how it started.
Exciting story set in space and in a very brutal place on a mining station where something terrible has gone wrong.
They were killed by their own suits.
Everything isn't as it seems on this spaceship. That means there's 36 corpses walking about this station.
So it's an enormous ticking clock.
There are some pretty scary monsters. It takes a while to actually realise what these crazy monsters are.
It's an economic strategy gone wrong.
And Bill has some pretty serious stuff to go through.
Mining station, Chasm. Forge, crew of 40.
Hello?
4 survivors. 1 distress call. They were killed by their own suits.
That means there's 36 corpses walking about this station.
If we want to keep breathing, we have exactly one option.
None of us have more than 3,000 breaths left.
Then stop wasting them.
Oxygen was written by Jamie Matheson. Or Matheson. It's Matheson, isn't it?
I think it's Matheson.
Yeah, I.E., yes. It was directed by Charles Palmer. Overseen by the Mothball. And stars the usual bunch. TARDIS team. However, we do have a relatively small support cast this week. Or this episode. And so Oxygen is set out in one of these classic space stations that at first glance seems abandoned and not much going on, but they soon fall into a sort of mini confined claustrophobic space adventure where the space station is selling fresh air, is mining and selling oxygen, as the name would suggest. But the guys that are up on the space station are using up too much oxygen. They're using up their own profits, basically. And the company figures out that all of this could be automated by just the suits themselves, which are very clever, and the humans are not needed. So it's up to the Doctor and Bill and Nardo in this one, actually, to figure out what's going on, as usual, and save the day, which ultimately do, as usual. What do you reckon, Oxygen?
Oxygen, yes. I enjoyed it. Thought it was good. Yeah, another good episode.
Don't sound too happy.
I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised we seem to be on a roll. No, I did think it was good. Yeah. I think it's one that perhaps doesn't do too well. Like if you think too much into it, a bit like some of the other stories, if you know what I mean. Like some of the bits on a second watch, I was thinking, well, would that actually, if they did that, wouldn't that, But I don't know. I overall, I thought it was another good episode this week, and I thought it was good that we got a sort of dark shift in tone. I was looking forward to Nardal coming on board for a proper episode, so we get to see a bit more of him, because I've kind of liked him being in these tiny little scenes. So I was quite looking forward to seeing the three of them together. But for me, that was the most disappointing bit, because I didn't think he didn't really add anything to the story, which I thought was a shame. But yeah, overall, mate, I thought it was another good episode this week. Yes, I enjoyed it. What did you think?
Yes, I thought it was a very good episode this week. Yeah. I think when Doctor Who does the atmospheric, creepy Ridley Scott type of vibe, when it does it well, it's very, very good.
Yeah.
And I thought it did it very well in this one. It was creepy. It was suspenseful, and it also kind of took the series off in a new direction, I would say. So the last 5 minutes of the episode, we got, the Doctor's in a pretty bad way, which he's not letting on to Bill anyway, or to Nada, one of the two. And I feel that from next week, what's next week? Extremis?
Extremis, yeah.
Which
looks amazing.
Yeah, I think from Extremis next week, I think the series is going to go very, very in a different direction, because I think up to now it's been very much a case of getting to know Bill and getting to know the new companion and the relationship with the Doctor and so on. And it feels like they've timed it relatively well. It feels like with this episode they've met that need now. They've done what they've wanted to do in terms of character building. So, with it, some of the interactions between the Doctor and Bill are fairly predictable now. You know how they're going to be with each other, because this is their fourth adventure now since the series began, and now and I think now is the time where the series is going to move into a more into some of that stuff that's been teased for us, So I think we might see. Is it this week coming with Extremis that we see what's in the vault?
I believe it is. Yeah. I can't say for definite but I think we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've also got the situation with the Doctor being blind still, which is quite interesting. And then I think there's some chatter that Extremis will cover some of the regeneration stuff for Peter's Doctor as well.
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that up to now it's all been, I wouldn't say it's been light and fluffy, unicorns and rainbows and stuff, but I think now that the safety net's been taken away. So I think this was a really good lead up into where the series is going to go now, because we're about halfway through. I think next episode it's going to be halfway, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So but I think sorry, go on.
I just going to say, it feels like we're getting deeper in, doesn't it? That's what I like. I mean, when you look at the progression of the episodes up to this one, I think you're right. It's really flowed quite nicely, actually. We've got to know Bill. We've had a lot lighter moments, but it definitely feels like we're getting deeper and deeper into trouble now, and it's built very nicely, I think, so far this series. It's really, really sort of flowed quite well for me. So far.
But talking about this episode on its own, I just think it was a really cool sort of little space adventure, and I really like the fact that we had somebody who was very close to. It was one of those really cool moments where you have to sort of trust what the Doctor's doing, because there was a bit, wasn't there, where Bill was frozen on the spot and they couldn't move her because the suit had glitched again, and he said, we're going to have to leave you here, and you thought, is he actually going to leave her? Because when the other suits, the other sort of zombie people arrive, she's going to go. They're going to kill her, basically. So, and then he did. They left her, and you thought, wow. And you thought, well, it can't be the end of Bill. Can't be, because she's in it for the rest of the season. She's in it, So you thought, so how is he going to sort this out? So it was a really cool sort of roller coaster of, fixing things, running away, being scared, trying to sort something out, more running away. And then when Bill finally got turned, it was like, how is he going to sort this out? Because she's like the others and he can't fix them. So
that's one of the things I absolutely loved about it, because sometimes you can, when you're watching it, you get like a scene like that and you think, okay, well, obviously he's going to do that, isn't he? But with this one, the two, I mean, poor old Bill, she really went through the ringer in this story, didn't she?
Did.
But there was two moments where I was like, really like, well, how's that going to get resolved? Like, and I like that because it wasn't predictable. So the first time, when she's sort of almost blacking out and you sort of get quick clips of a bit of a gunfight and the Doctor, and I mean, that was really well done, I thought, because Bill was sort of passing out, wasn't she, because she hadn't got any air. And this idea of her suit malfunctioning as well, I thought was just such a simple but brilliant idea of putting her in danger. The fact that, because what could you do? You can't do anything if something's malfunctioning. You just, the clock is ticking, the air's, I just thought it's such a simple, great idea. And the way she acted it as well, just saying, that's not me moving my arms and all this sort of thing. I thought it was just really great piece of television in terms of the tension that was going on in that scene. I still think this. I know somebody out there is going to have an answer, but I still don't quite get why does Nardal need a spacesuit if he's an android? Because I kept thinking when the Doctor's giving her his suit and the space out, I was thinking, well, why can't Nardal do it? Because he's an android, isn't he? Or is he or a cyborg, or what? Does he need a spacesuit? I don't know. I just kept thinking, wouldn't Nardal have given her his? But I'm sure there's a reason. There must be a reason. But
there must be.
It did bug me a little bit. I was thinking, he's a robot, isn't he? I know his head's still human, but his body's android. So I don't know. That's the only thing that sort of bugged me a little bit, because it was such a great way of putting poor old Bill in jeopardy, and it made, as I said, for really sort of exciting, because I kept thinking, how on earth is the Doctor going to bring her back?
It's.
So yeah, but I'm sure there's a reason. Somebody will tell us in the comments. I know, and there must be a way.
Well, I don't think there's an obvious reason to it, because in terms of Nardal, the only thing that points us in the direction of him being some sort of robot or cyborg is his circumstance when we last saw him. So he was beheaded. Well, he was just a head, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Before.
And he makes a comment in this about having a different face at one point, doesn't he?
Yeah. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is in the pilot, where he comes shuffling out when he shows Bill into the doctor's office. You do hear that sort of C-3PO-esque movements of his limbs.
The bolt
and
fell
so
off his arm or whatever, didn't it?
But that's not conclusive, though. That isn't something, we can't all just use that and say, oh, he's definitely a robot or something, because this is Doctor Who. It could be any reason why. But I hadn't picked up on it, I'll be honest with you.
You could say that, well, he probably still needs air because something's providing oxygen to his head, or I don't know. I'm sure there's ways you could get around it, but it just struck me as odd at the time. But as I said, that is it was the only thing that really bugged me about the episode. I felt the scenes when they were in proper peril, I thought were really great, creepy. Doctor Who reminded me very much of the sort of classic era in terms of the nice slower pace of them walking around a station and getting to see these zombie creatures outside. It looked great again this week, didn't you think? I mean, I thought the visuals were really good again this week.
Brilliant.
Especially really when they were outside on the spaceship. There's one shot near the beginning when the guys are actually walking on presumably a piece of set and then the rest CGI. There was like a big light behind them. It was supposed to be a star or a planet.
Yeah,
and I just thought, this looks amazing. This looks absolutely fantastic for Doctor Who. Yeah, it's really, really well done. So again, I thought visuals were excellent this week.
They've really nailed the overall feeling and the look and feel for this series, and not just in how the episodes look, but if you look at all of the marketing material, like the covers that were released for parts 1 and 2 of the DVDs and Blu-rays.
Oh yeah, lovely.
They
really
look
nice.
really cool, and just everything that they've done around Series 10 just looks lovely. It's just such, you can tell that they've spent time to pull it out of a different direction from the other, other stuff. And somebody posted I think it was the Series 9 Part 1 and 2 Blu-ray covers, and the difference is night and day. So those ones, all it is just a grey background with the Doctor and Clara, and a bit of a shadow and stuff, and that's it. Whereas these ones, you can, and it's the same thing for the episodes as well. You can tell that all of the visual effects and the landscapes, even and the sets and stuff, it just looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does. It feels like because considering this is the Boss Last series, and the series has had a dip in ratings and stuff, you might sort of think that the production would just think, oh, let's get this series done out of the way and not have much heart to it. It actually feels the opposite, doesn't it? It feels like they're really. It's almost as if it's made them up their game a bit. They're thinking, right, we'll show you. We'll show you what a good program we can make. Because it's definitely upped its game, I think, this series. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. There was a point in this episode where I thought, is it going to go a little bit like, what was it, Under the Lake or Before the Flood, where I thought, is it just going to be a bunch of zombies sort of chasing them around from corridor to corridor like we had in those? I think
I thought that.
Yeah. But fortunately, it turned out to work out pretty well, because although we did have a little bit of that, just, a bit of being chased by the zombies, whatever you want to call them. It wasn't overdone. It wasn't just an episode of, oh, here we go again. They've been cornered into a room. The Doctor's done something with his sonic, and now they've got a little opportunity to escape. So it's down another corridor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And we're going to do the same thing like 3 or 4 times. So fortunately, it wasn't like that. There was quite a bit of sort of investigation needed by the Doctor, and a bit of, again, a little bit of quick thinking from Bill as well a couple of times. And I think that's really a testament to the writing, because it's all too easy to fall into that trap, isn't it, of just running down corridors.
Yeah, fast music.
Yeah. Get the sonic out to blow the electronics on the door, escape through there, or a hatch or something, down another corridor. So I think it's good that they'd had a little element of that, because that's sort of what makes Doctor Who cool.
Yeah, you need a little bit in there. Yeah,
a bit of familiarity. But overall, I thought the writing and the moving characters from A to B to progress the story was pretty good, actually.
I'm quite a big fan of Matheson as a writer, because I love Mummy on the Orient Express, and I like Flatline. Not so much the girl who died, but I'm blaming the Moffat for that.
Well, he was co-writer on that, so we can blame them off on that one.
We can blame the poor old Moff. But no, I like his style of writing. You mentioned the Sonic though. What did you think of the Sonic getting blitzed within the first 10 minutes? Got destroyed. Do you think we'll see it again? Or is that the end of the Sonic?
It's hard to say.
They can't get rid of it that quickly, can they?
Well, it's not too bad because he has got a cup full of them on his desk, hasn't he?
That's true.
So he's not. There's no shortage of Sonics at the moment. But it is. I did think, and you can tell as well that he's devastated because he used to see this mangled Sonic, and he sort of gives it this look of horror, like, oh no, and just puts. Mind you, he did put it back in his pocket, so. Chances are he'll fix it, I suppose.
I'm sure we'll see it again. But I liked it. I like the fact he said, no Sonic, no TARDIS, can't see. I'm going to be unbearable when I put all this off. And I thought, that's true. Yeah, you've taken everything away from the Doctor and he's still going to save the day, I thought that was nice. But it was good. It was good to sort of, again, put the Doctor in that amount of jeopardy and take away all the things that he relies on normally to save the day. Yeah, it gave it another element of another edge to the story, I thought.
Yeah. So, what did you think to before we get on to these spacesuits? Then the smart suits. What do you think to the hidden or silent the company, if you like? The company that's put these people there. But we never see or hear of them, do we? All we know is that these guys are following orders. But the company has sort of betrayed them in a way because, like I said earlier, they're just the labour cost is too much basically when these spacesuits can carry out all of the work by themselves. And we don't really click that that's the case, do we? Because earlier on in the episode we see a spacesuit that's lifting crates and so on, and when I think it's Bill or the Doctor try and take the space helmet off and it's empty. So it's just an empty suit.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, when the Doctor pops head off and Bill's like, couldn't you tell us? And, the Doctor's a bit smug. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So we don't really click at that point as to why.
Why do they need people then? Because that's the point. If the suits can do it all, why do they even need people in them?
Well, that's why these people have been turned into zombies. Because they don't, if they're deceased, they don't need paying.
Expendable.
Or anything else. Yeah. So the suits can just carry them out. But I would say it's quite difficult for the suits to get rid of the person inside, which is why they're just carried around as lifeless.
Yeah,
whatever. But it's quite interesting that we don't have a bad guy as such in this, do we? We have no physical person to point the finger at. It's just this mentioned company that's doing it. So we don't really have that much in Who. There's always a face to put the blame to, isn't there? There's always a villain or a monster. But in this case, it's just,
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, it's true. Because, it's great at the end when the Doctor says, let's really show them. Like, let's go out with a bang and show them that we're, what we're made of. And I thought, that's, a great build up. But yeah, I hadn't thought about the fact that we don't even know who it is that's really behind it. Yeah, because they're mining for copper, aren't they, or copper ore or something?
Something, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's no sort of big baddie in this that we get to see, is there? Yeah.
No.
I hadn't realised.
So it sort of focuses all of the story on the characters, really.
Yeah.
Which I'm so glad. I'm positive, I'm positive that before the Moff started putting down stories and getting his writers together for this series, that he sat down with Russell T Davies. I'm so sure of it because the previous, from series 6 pretty much up until last series, especially the stories that the Moff you can tell is deeply involved with, the character integration has been not great, has it?
No,
true. The Moff's great at having a concept and an idea, and getting that forward. But when it comes to character integration and dialogue and that stuff, Russell T Davies for me is, miles ahead in his ability to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that, he had a lunch or a dinner with Russell and he said, look, you've got to sort this out. It's got to be about the characters again. It's all got to be or otherwise it's just an empty story.
And also I think, because I think the Moffs let the reins loose a little bit and all for the better. Because, like we were just saying about how he co-wrote Thiesen's last story and that was not great. The girl who lived, no, the woman who died, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was not great. And I don't know, with these, I just feel like maybe he's just, because his last series, he just let the reins go a little and let the writers do what they do. And I just think it's maybe for the better, because although I'm going to freely admit I don't know the name, I was thinking this when I watched this for a second time yesterday. I still don't know the names of any of the characters. That's the only thing I would say, but I did care about them enough.
Right.
Which is good, because like you said, quite often you sort of get these characters in danger, like the guys from Under the Flood. I suppose to a point I did, but I wasn't that bothered. But at least in this I was thinking, these guys, even the mouthy one, there was one girl that was really gobby and really selfish. Even her, I thought,
Abby, I think, yeah.
Abby, even her, I mean, she wasn't a particularly likable character, but she wasn't awful either. Do you know what I mean? You kind of got that she just was like at the end of a tether and taking it out on whoever was closest to her. So, she's still a reasonably decent character, I thought, even though, she was a bit selfish.
Yeah.
I definitely care more about the characters in this series, which, like you said, was not always been there of late.
No, and it just feels like, like somebody has said to him, if you want to get the audience, relating again to the show, and you've got to make it about the people and the characters and about the Doctor again and the relationships and stuff. It's not all about some grand villainous arc that people have to struggle with, throughout the entire series. Just give us cool adventures again with great characters.
It did make me think, actually, because the other day I was thinking, okay, so enjoying series 10 so far, very good, definite step up. And I was thinking, is it because the stories are really good, or is it just because, I like Bill, and is it because there's more in the stories that I like? So like you said, I like the characters more this series, and I particularly like Bill more this series. I'm loving Capaldi this series. So I'm thinking, is it the fact the stories are really good, or is it the fact that the stories are better written? Because I that's what I was trying to say at the beginning. I really enjoyed watching this. I don't think it's an amazing story in terms of storyline, but I still thought it was really good. So, it's as if we've had a bit of a change around, I think, because looking back at some of Matt's stories, I think there was some great ideas in there, but again, it was just, he didn't care too much about the people involved in those stories. So I don't know, maybe we've just got a bit of a switch around this series, because I'm enjoying it and the stories are decent, but are they, we're giving them quite high ratings. Are the stories that good, or is it just that the characters and the way the stories are written is better this year, I think?
Yeah, I think it's mainly to do with the characters and the performances that are making these so enjoyable. Because I think, like you said, this one isn't an amazing story. It's really basic in its concept.
Yeah,
there's nothing sort of revolutionary going on. This is an old formula for the Doctor and a companion to land on a space station or something, and it's deserted, seemingly. And lots of corridors and stuff. This is nothing. They're not they're not innovating here too much in terms of story, but I think it's the characters, and I think because we've now finally got Peter giving us the Doctor that we really wanted. We've got a great companion now, and it's not all about bloody Clara's whatever.
Yeah,
it's making it worthwhile. To invest in watching it over and over again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. I mean, like you said, that just having this TARDIS team, which I really look forward to seeing each week, is a big plus. Like, I can't really say I look forward to seeing Clara every week. I really didn't, but just having this team, I mean, even Nardal, whether you like him or hate him, I mean, we still get some good scenes. Like, I thought the start was really nice, where the Doctor tricked him into believing about the fluid link. Nardal's so like smug, and he's like, I've got the fluid link, you ain't going anywhere. And the Doctor's like, who told you that? Well, you did, exactly. And then they're off on invention. I just thought, it's lovely little scenes. I love all that stuff. So I just look forward to seeing Bill, Nardal, and the Doctor every week, just to see what's going on. It is a bit of a game changer with the blindness, though, isn't it? I mean, that took me by surprise. I did get the feeling when he said, "Oh, we're in the TARDIS," I was thinking, I'm not sure. I don't know about you, but I was thinking, is he still blind? And then he was obviously sat at his desk with his sonic shades on and all that. I'm thinking, okay. So I thought that was quite a good twist. I don't know how long they're going to keep that up for. I mean, he's got the shades on for the next few promotional images show him wearing them for the next couple of stories. So I don't know how long he's going to be blind for, or whether he'll just keep the glasses on when he can see, or what. I don't know.
Yeah,
but what did you think about him being blind at the end? Were you like, did you gasp?
Yeah, I was very surprised because, like many other people, I assume, we thought we saw his eyes being fixed by Nardole, didn't we?
Yeah.
And his eyes went from that milky colour back to normal, and we thought, oh, he's all fixed. And then he did play it relatively well, you know, fooling people into he can see, because he knows the TARDIS so well he can just, glide around with his eyes shut, or blind as it would be, and still operate it and all that stuff. But yeah, it wasn't until I didn't have to wait until he told Nardole he was still blind. You could tell when he was sat there with his shades on. You could tell he was like, he's not right.
I'll tell you what I love is that they, the next time trailer that we got last week for this episode, I love the fact that they left the effects off his eyes, because I didn't notice that. Someone pointed out, they were like, so last week when we got the trailer for this episode, they didn't show any of the blindness with the Doctor, but so if you want to see the scenes that we saw this week without the effects on, you can go back and watch last week's trailer. I thought that's a nice way of keeping that, that hidden, because if we'd have seen last week's scenes of him with the eyes, we would have given a bit more away, I think. So that was a nice touch that they went to the effort of actually removing the effects last week, so it didn't get revealed until this week. I thought that was nice. I think it's the scene where he turns around in the station, isn't it, and says something about, I'm going to save your life or something, and then you're going to wonder who I am for the next 1,000 years. I think it's that bit we saw last week, but it didn't have the effect on. And this week obviously it did. So that was very nice little touch of the production to do that.
And that was a nice moment as well for the Doctor to give Bill his helmet during the depressurization, so that
great.
Should be okay. And then when he does go blind, you're like, oh no, how's this going to work then? Yeah. So again, that's great. That was the great story part of it, because it like a lot of things in this series so far, it's raised a big question. It's like, well, how's the Doctor going to sort this all out then if he's blind?
I know.
You know, and it does raise that question, and you think, well, I don't want to put that question to the back of my head.
And why can't he regenerate his eyes? People have been saying online, and that I agree with them. He healed River's wrist with his regeneration energy quick enough. And why can't he heal his eyes with some regeneration energy? Like, what's going on?
Well, I think this links
There's
into
more to it, isn't there?
The larger question around his regeneration in this series, because there has been, when Bill questioned him last episode, he got very I wouldn't say touchy about it, but he got quite withdrawn.
He quickly moved on, didn't he?
Yeah.
Changed the subject. Yeah.
Didn't want to talk about it. And so there's definitely something up, isn't there, with his regeneration? I mean, there's lots of rumours, not that we buy into any of them, but there's lots circulating that he's one of the ones that I saw, which doesn't really hold water if his eyes were damaged, but someone said that he's in a regeneration process at the moment. So he's been harmed or he's been killed in some way, but he's sort of holding back his regeneration and he's going through it at the moment, which is why he's a bit, not weird, but he's a bit not the usual Doctor that we know of. And he's shying away from talking about regeneration stuff. But there's definitely something up, isn't there? Because
there's definitely something, yeah.
Because he'd regen some of that, wouldn't he?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just, again, it's great because it's not clear, and it's I hope we get a good payoff for it. Let's put it that way. I'm just kind of thinking, I think it'll be interesting if we get the Doctor blind for next series, but I don't think we want too many of him blind, because it's Capaldi's last series, and I want to see the Doctor back because he's been so fantastic up to now. I think it'll be interesting to see him vulnerable next week or whatever, but don't want 2 or 3 episodes like it's been rumored, because then we'll be nearly at the final, and I just I want as much Capaldi greatness as possible, if you like. I'll tell you what though, it did lead into, because I was saying Nardole was a bit disappointed for me in this episode, in terms of I was looking forward to him being in it more, because we knew he was going to go on an adventure this week. So I was thinking, okay, let's get to see what Matt Lucas can do then, because we've all, he got quite a lot of stick. Let's give him a chance. This is his first proper episode. And I don't know about you, mate, but I found it a shame he didn't really get to do anything apart from follow the Doctor around moaning. He literally didn't add anything to the story, and it probably not really his fault. He just didn't get anything written for him particularly to do, did he? He just followed the Doctor around going, you shouldn't be here, sir. Well, I'm not. What are you doing, sir? Why are you doing water, sir? And I was thinking, oh, this is a shame. He did have a couple of good lines. And what I'm leading to is I thought he was excellent in that last scene with Capaldi where he was having a real go at him. I thought, okay. Now we're getting to see Lucas, giving a good performance here because he's got some good dialogue. I mean, he's like, look at me and all that. And I thought, this is good. Let's see more of this. But I just thought it was a shame he didn't get much to do in the episode, considering it was his first proper adventure, I suppose. Apart from what's that called? The one with the superhero. I know he was in that, but
Dr. Mysterio.
Mysterio, yeah. So I don't know. I was just hoping for a bit more from him this week, and that was the only thing that disappointed, really. He come out with a few good lines and stuff, but yeah. But the end scene was good. I like the end bit with him and the Doctor. That was, he's like, I can't look at you. And I thought, oh yeah, this is cool.
Well, I think the way that Nardole has been, especially in Oxygen, I think it will link into the larger story.
Oh yes,
he's obviously very, very upset that the Doctor chose to disappear off world again and all that stuff, when apparently there's something very important that needs guarding in the vault. And I think up to now we've seen quite, I wouldn't say just typical comic relief from Lucas. He was a little bit like that at the beginning of the series, where he's like the odd one-liner and a bit of banter with the Doctor and stuff. But I think the way he was in this one, I think they really tried to have Nardole exert some authority on the Doctor and really show his disdain, and not just go with it like a companion would do.
Yeah, true.
So, but I think, the way that it was executed though, he did seem a little bit, just constantly on the Doctor's back, constantly on him, moaning and having a bit of a nag.
It's just like on his shoulder when he,
It was a bit like, it's almost like it was written for River Song in a way, like her indoors is having a good old nag throughout the entire story. It felt a little bit like that, which I know it wasn't, of course, but I just don't know. It just felt like they really tried to have Nardole be the strong voice of reason almost, and really let the Doctor know that he is very unhappy about everything that's going on. But maybe they could have chopped it down by a scene or two. It would have been right.
There's a nice scene when when Bill wakes up and he explains to her about the Doctor. I thought that was quite a nice little scene between the Bill and Nardole, because Nardole doesn't seem to care that much for Bill. He seems to have had his nose out of joint by having Bill around. I think he sees her as a bit of a bad influence on, gives the Doctor an excuse to go off travelling and all that, doesn't it? But there was a nice scene when he was saying to Bill about, the Doctor's, what does he say? Really doesn't like to be helped, and he sustained quite a big injury, so just prepare yourself before you see him and all that. I thought, okay, so he has got a softer side to him in terms of that. But other times he doesn't, like when Bill was about to die and the Doctor's like, give her my suit and all that. He doesn't seem to care, but he just stands there going, oh no.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But
Nardole's an interesting one. It'll be curious to see where we go from here, because if the vault is revealed this Saturday in Extremis and we find out, then I'm not sure what purpose Nardole will serve, because he's obviously there to assist the Doctor in just making sure that he stays on Earth for whatever's in the vault. So if the vault then is opened and whatever's in there comes out or whatever, it will be interesting to see what use Nardole's going to be after that.
You mentioned River Song there, because we got to see very quickly, didn't we, in the Next Time trailer, the Doctor's got her blimmin' diary. Now, how's he got that?
I don't know.
I'm jumping ahead to next week, but I was thinking, she's not in that vault, is she? Please tell me River's not in that vault.
Well, you say that. Somebody on Twitter was one of our friends from Epic Coup, Tom Dix, was saying that he suspects that it could be River in the vault, and I tweeted back straight away and said, if it's River in that vault, I'm just going to smash my face repeatedly against the brick wall because how much of a letdown? How much?
That would be the biggest. Yeah,
I think
that would just be so boring.
There'd be riots on the streets.
I think, it can't be River. It can't be. I was intrigued to see the Doctor with her diary. That was all, and I think it was thrown in there to throw a curveball. But no, it can't be River.
It can't be. It won't be. It shan't be.
It will be.
It will.
No, it won't.
It will.
It'll be like me opening one of them blimmy mystery boxes and going, I really hope it's not River in here. It's River. I've already got 20 of them.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, crikey. Yeah. Actually, in terms of the vault, we didn't see anything really, did we, in this episode? We didn't really see.
No, I thought it was this one we were finding out because this month's Doctor Who magazine, the Moffat, he's such a tease, isn't he, Moff? I mean, he was saying like we were going to find out mid-series, and so that's why I'm assuming it's next week then, because I don't know. I need to go back and read that interview. I'm sure he said we were finding out like this week, but I don't know. It must be next week then.
Must be.
Because I think that's why everyone was saying, well, Missy's in next week. It's got to be Missy, and hopefully there's more than one thing in there. And yeah, so I'm assuming next week.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. So before we get on to some of the supporting cast and so on, did you like the idea of the suits running the show based on the orders of whatever corporation they've been hired by to go and mine for whatever? And did you like the fact that the Doctor was able to sort of call the company's bluff and outwit the suits and so on? I thought that was a really cool way to sort of save the people.
Yeah, I thought it was. I did quite like it because it made it. Yeah, it was interesting. I didn't see it coming. Again, a bit like what you were saying about all the other stuff. It wasn't predictable. I didn't think so. Yes, I did like it in that sense. Yeah, I mean they were very quick to react. There is one thing I don't get. I'm sure you'll be able to explain it to me. But how did when the Doctor knows that Bill's still alive? When she comes in as a zombie at the end, and Nardle's like, "Doctor, it's Bill," and he's like, "Of course it's Bill." And all that. So what did he do? Because I've watched it twice now and I still don't quite get it. She'd still got some oxygen left in the suit or something. I just don't get what happened at the end bit.
Yeah. So
how did she survive then? Because was she just sort of knocked out? Because she'd sort of turned.
Yeah, she was. She wasn't turned fully. She was just knocked out because So this is why I like some of the writing in this, because it puts the Doctor back in the driving seat almost.
Yeah.
Because he has these. You have these moments where you think, right, he's on the ropes and he's not going to be able to sort this out, whatever. But he's so clever, and then you realise that like 10 minutes later, once he solved it. So the Doctor would realise that there wasn't enough power within Bill's suit to fully, kill her. It was only going to make her unconscious or whatever. It wasn't going to fully.
So just knocked her out, and then he gave her a burst of oxygen to bring her back.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that makes sense, because, I watched it twice, and I just wasn't too sure, because I thought she had sort of already turned to a zombie at that point. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. But I suppose, her eyes hadn't gone. She just sort of, she was just knocked out, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
So it's really clever, and then the Doctor calls the bluff on the company, really, doesn't he? He wires up the suits so that, when everyone sort of gets killed by the suits, it's going to blow up the entire station. And he knows that that's like, that's not profitable.
They wouldn't do it. Yeah.
So he's really, I just love that the Doctor's got that clever plan in his head. And 10 minutes prior, you think, how is he going to sort this out? It's, almost impossible. And then literally towards the end of the episode, it's just all done. And he's saved the day or he saved who he can. So I really like that. It feels very classic Who to me when that happens. It feels.
It did feel classic Who, because it wasn't a sort of big build up of lots of fighting, running around, shouting, lasers. Not like it wasn't action. It was just the Doctor resolving the situation. Yeah, so I thought it felt very sort of classic Who that in terms of it was a nice. I wouldn't say it was I thought it was a good conclusion. It was a satisfying conclusion, but it wasn't action packed.
Yes.
Yep. But again, that to me just felt more like classic Who, so I quite liked it. Yeah.
So some of the guys on the space station then, so we don't see them immediately. They're running from a couple of zombies that they've already run into.
Yeah.
But then they hear them over the intercom, don't they? And there's obviously survivors somewhere. It's like a little band of survivors, isn't it? And they're sort of on borrowed time because it feels like at some point or another their suits are going to malfunction as well, or seemingly malfunction. So you are. It was quite suspenseful for me because I thought, when are these guys going to go? When is their when are their suits going to glitch and kill them and so on? But there was a couple of good characters that I really liked. So the blue guy.
Oh yeah,
his name was Dar-Ren.
I forgot about him. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, he was quite cool.
Scene.
Yeah, so the interaction with him and Bill quite early on, I thought was really cool. And I think, what was it when Bill first sees him? Because I think she hasn't seen many aliens yet, has she? On her travels with the Doctor, she's seen Daleks and she's seen. What else has she seen?
Puddles. No, what she said.
Puddles.
Actually, because that thing that was underwater, could have been it's like a big fish. Wasn't really alien. Nardal says something about some of my best friends are bluish or something, doesn't he?
That's right. Yeah,
comes in for a little quip.
Yeah, I thought the guy that played him though, Peter Caulfield, I thought he did really well. He had this almost like oversensitive sort of, because he says something like, "Oh, you've brought on board a racist or something." Because
that's right. And Bill's like, "What?"
Yeah, and she's confused because she's like, "Well, obviously, I'm as a person of color, I know what you're saying," but he doesn't really get it. He's just.
Did he remind you of the guy in End of the World? He was blue, wasn't he?
Do you know what, mate? You read my mind then. I was just going to say. And the colour blue that they use as well seems to be exactly the same.
Vibrant, really vibrant, yeah.
But I thought he was quite a cool little character, and it was, a shame that he met his demise. But
I did really like him in it, and believe it or not, I'd forgotten all about him until you mentioned him. But he was cool. Yeah, what happens to him?
He gets turned, but there's a bit at the end, isn't there, where the suits of the people that they've killed hand over their oxygen supplies to the survivors. So
that's right.
So they were going to be okay. But I think he was one of the ones that properly bit the dust, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
It was a shame, but he was quite cool.
Yeah, he was good. Dar-Ren.
Dar-Ren, yeah, DAH-REN. So I'd like Darren, but a cool little twist on it. The other people I thought were okay. So the guy that was running the show, that was seemingly in charge, I think his name was either Ivan or Tasker, one of the two. I can't put a name
I didn't get
face.
the names. I must admit, even on the second watch, they just didn't register. Perhaps they weren't said a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, but they were okay. But one of the other character that I did like was who you mentioned earlier, Abby, who was really stroppy and
feisty.
Yeah, feisty, and just didn't really buy into the Doctor's plan at all. But she does apologise at the end, I think. She does say, sorry for doubting you. But I thought she was cool because sometimes it's all too easy just to have everybody like, oh yeah, this is fantastic, let's go with the plan. So I think it was good that she sort of went against the tide, if you like.
Yeah, and also sometimes you can have someone who's a bit mouthy like that, but they're instantly dislikable. Like, she was quite selfish at the start. So, but I don't know, there was sort of a bit more to her, I thought. She wasn't just, I suppose she was just proper, like, as I said, end of her tether. So she's just letting it out. I think you sort of kind of felt like she didn't mean it. So like you said at the end, she's like, I'm really sorry, thanks for saving us. So she's a good person. Just obviously a bit stressed, as you would be.
Stressed out, yeah.
I like the guys at the start, actually. The very first scene, we've got I don't know what the character's name is, but she's saying, I want to, when you can hear me, I'm going to tell you I want to have a baby with you and all that. And that's quite a creepy intro, isn't it? When you see her helmet just floating off and she's clearly been killed. Even though we only got to see her for that very short intro, you immediately sort of quite like those two. I think you think because you get that they're a couple and planning things and so
it was creepy actually. Yeah.
Well, there was a few creepy bits I thought in this one. The scenes of the zombie guys on the walking on the outside of the spaceship in the middle of the story was visually very cool, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very. Oh, when you see all of them outside.
Yeah, they're all outside. Yeah, I thought that was really good.
That was very cool, actually. Yeah. Spoken about Nardal. A little bit more about Bill then. So Bill was, again, very, very good in this. I thought she just seems to be getting better and better as the series goes on, Bill.
She's brilliant. I like her a lot, yeah.
She definitely has a realness about her. So it wasn't like, in previous, I'm not taking anything away from, the other companions, but with people like Rose and Martha, and actually I'd probably say the main culprit would be Clara, that when they get thrown into these situations where there's obviously danger around and there's stuff going on, they seem to be scared or apprehensive about stuff for about 5 minutes in the episode. And then after that, it's like they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Whereas
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, whereas with Bill, she was genuinely quite frightened throughout the bulk of the episode.
As I say, she really went through the ringer in this one, didn't she? Poor Bill. But you're right, because it's like when she sees that, when they first get there and there's the guy who's in the suit and the suit's holding him up. She's like, why is he standing up? And the doctor's like, no, it's the suit. And she's really freaked out by it, isn't she? She's like, well, can you lay him down? Because it's just not respectful. It's wrong, And I mean, it's just showing a very human side to Bill, that perhaps we might react like that. We'd say, oh, well, this is horrible. Whereas some of the other companions that sometimes don't even bat an eyelid. Exactly. They're like, oh, is he? Yeah. Oh, right, yeah. So yeah, no, she is getting better. I mean, she's superb actually. She's hit the ball running and she's just gone with it. I mean, when we first thought she was being killed off, when she's run out of oxygen, I mean, you sort of see her turn blue and her head turn to the side. I was probably like, no. So I was like, they can't kill her. They're not killing her off this early on. And the only reason that for a second I thought they might is because I remember when they were shooting these, there was a few episodes where Bill wasn't seen on set. And I was thinking, nah, they wouldn't kill her off mid-series, would they? I mean, only for a second, because of course they wouldn't. But, it was still like, I still was like, no, I don't want Bill to die.
Yeah.
I care about her. I think she's a great companion. Yeah.
I agree. She was really good in this.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable to watch again. Yeah. And Capaldi?
Superb. He, again, I think he gets better every week, actually. He was amazing in this episode. He reminds me so much of Baker's. Well, he's a combination of all the doctors, but I think you said it a few minutes ago. He's back running the show. He's back in control. Like even when he's got no Sonic and he's blind and the TARDIS is gone, Capaldi's still got it all going on in his head. He knows he's running the show, like he knows he's going to save it. And he's just brilliant. I think I'm so glad he's getting to be this Doctor in this series, because I really didn't think we were going to get to see Capaldi's potential. I honestly didn't. When we were leading up to series 10, I thought the Moff had blown it. I really did. Yeah. I just thought, we kept saying, oh, let's hope we get to see Capaldi's potential this series. I really didn't think we would, but we are. And he's great. Absolutely brilliant in it.
No, I completely agree, mate. I think he's really I think the Moff and Capaldi have settled on how this Doctor should be, because I think not really at a fault of Peter's in the last couple of series, but because he was written inconsistently. He's only got the script to go on. He can't just throw that out the window,
no.
And do what he wants. I mean, I suppose he's got a bit of freedom there, and to change things if he feels really strongly. But I would say that like all the actors and everything, it's all led by the script, so he can only do what he's been written, for him. What's been written for him. So, but I think in this one, I think the Moff has realised that as well. So the Moff has made sure that the writing for the Doctor has been consistent in this one, and that then allows Peter just to really go forward and really give us the Doctor that we really wanted consistently, because we had lots of different moments of that Doctor, didn't we, over the last couple of years?
Yeah, we've had those especially little series 9.
Yeah, we had those moments where we thought, yeah, this is great, this is brilliant, and then an episode later it would be like, oh, he's gone, he's changed a little bit, and now he's a bit more goofy, or
he was coming out of a lot of quips and stuff which didn't suit him, I think. Whereas in this one, he's still quippy, but he's still quite dark. And I think that's what I like about his Doctor. Like when he's popping the helmet off the robot, and Bill thinks, she's like, couldn't you have told us it was a robot? And he sort of gives a little grin. There's a dark side to Capaldi's Doctor, which I love. I think he really suits this lecturer side as well. Like, this whole thing of him being sort of in brackets stuck on Earth being this lecturer, I think is working really well. I didn't know if it would, but I think it's great. You know, we start off with him doing the lecture with the chalkboard, and it turns out to be a skull if you look carefully and all that, and it's really suits his Doctor. It's a bit Pertwee, that. So that's what I mean when I say he's encompassing all the Doctors. That's a little bit Pertwee and being stuck on Earth and all that. So, yeah, long may it continue. I'm wondering where we're going with the whole blindness thing. I hope it doesn't hinder him too much in the next couple of episodes, because, as I said, he's on a roll at the minute, and I'm loving him being in control of situations, even when they're spiraling out of control, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. But he's knocking it out of the park, is Capaldi.
He is. Yeah, very good. Anything you want to mention, buddy, before we get on to our scores?
Just Murray's music, which I thought was particularly suited. I thought it was good this week, because, there was some real... almost like scratching the chalkboard music in this. Do you know what I mean? Like when we were seeing the zombies, it was like this real sort of almost psycho music going on from Murray this week. And I thought that was really good, really creepy. So, yeah, he again is doing a good job this series, I think.
Indeedy. Yes. Yeah. Let's go on to scores, buddy.
All right.
Who's going to go first? I think it's you.
I think it's me this week. I'll go with an 8 out of 10.
Same.
Same. We're very consistent so far this series, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. It was good.
It was very good. Nothing else to say on it, really.
No. Just a good, enjoyable episode.
Indeedy. Let's see what our listeners thought. Our beautiful listeners. Let's kick off with an audio review. This is Joe Sweeney.
Hello again, Adam. Hope you guys are well. Oxygen. Well, at first, I didn't know what to make of it, because I got a bit lost within the story. But as I watched it for a second time, I really enjoyed it. I understand the story fully behind it. I understand that the Doctor's fighting against space and space suits that's killing off organic components. The story was dark. It had some bit of scary moments. The space suits were quite creepy in some way. Peter Capaldi was great, yet again. The Doctor being blind, I thought that was new. It was interesting. And I liked the Doctor and Bill together. I thought their relationship was stronger. And I liked how they were helping and looking out for each other in dangerous and vulnerable situations. And Nardole was a mixed bag. Because one minute I liked him from the start, where he had a purpose. He's trying to get the Doctor to remain on Earth to guard the fault, and then him trying to get the Doctor back into the TARDIS. But then as the episode went on, I found him a bit annoying, because he was saying jokey dialogues and he's being shoved in the background. But I did like the speech he delivered to the Doctor at the end. I thought that was brilliant. And Bill was, again, fantastic, and she was more relatable. So overall, a very good episode. So I'll give a score of a 7.5 out of 10.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, I agree about the speech at the end from Nardole.
Yeah.
Very good.
Over on Twitter, Mr. Dalek Emperor says Oxygen was one of the best episodes for scares, and the Doctor still being blind is one of the best cliffhangers in ages. I think that also with the Doctor not wanting to explain regeneration last week, that we will all be building up to his regeneration that Capaldi said would not be straightforward.
Yes.
He said overall this episode is up there with Blink.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far, but yeah. Okay.
Ian on Twitter, EIRN72, says good episode, but couple of plot holes. E.g., the suits terminated occupants because they were breathing oxygen that they'd already bought.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah. Over on Facebook, Adam Pink says, stellar episode, showing the dangers of space and the dangers of mankind itself. Had a classic feel to it in terms of plot and the themes. The best, it said the oxygen-deprived zombies were grotesquely brilliant. The ending was so cool. However, slightly too hammed up by some dodgy cut to black editing. Overall, dark and proper story, 8.5.
It was strange. I found that strange on the first watch when it cut to black, but I got it. But yeah, it was a bit odd.
Another audio review. This is Owen Daly.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. What an episode. All I'm going to say, what an episode. That was phenomenal. I loved it to pieces. Bill, she's once more superb, and seeing her scared of space, it just makes the viewer scared of space then, and she's just a fantastic companion. She is what the show needed. The show feels fresh once more. We're seeing everything through her eyes. We're afraid when she's afraid, and there's the real strong connection between her and the audience. Peter Capaldi, another phenomenal performance. Even as he's blind, he's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that I'm still blind plot point. As it's great that this series is a consistent storytelling. The stories lead into the next, and it really makes the viewer want to keep watching. And I think the Doctor being blind, never been done before, I never would have thought about it being done, and I think it's just fantastic, and I can't wait to see where it takes us next week. The guest cast in this episode were all great, especially Dahren, the blue guy. I really liked him. The love story was nice, a bit tacked on, but I did like it between the person at the start and the guy with the beard. Don't know their names, but I liked that a little bit. And I also loved how Oxygen was shows capitalism, saying that you have to pay for oxygen, and I think it was just a great little jab. It wasn't as over the top as Robert Holmes in The Sunmakers with taxes, but it was still a little jab about having to pay for everything. So overall, I just love this episode so much. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, which I think is the highest rating I've given Series 10, and I loved it. So thanks for listening, and enjoy the rest of the show.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, yes. I think it is your highest, Owen.
Yeah, very cool. Right, over on Facebook, Jeff Waddle says, as good as New Who gets.
Oh, wow.
Capaldi's equal best episode with Heaven Sent. He says it's a bit arc in space, a bit silence in the library. But Capaldi outstanding as usual. Mackie knocked it out of the park. I just hope the blind thing isn't a convenience for what's coming up next episode. Maybe the regeneration starts here. He gives it a 10 out of 10.
Wow. High scores from Jeff.
Yeah. Gina Di Gregorio. So good. Seriously, Series 10 continues to impress. My heart was racing and I had a lump in my throat the entire episode. That is some good Doctor Who right there. Martin Arnold says, suits you, sir. Very
love it.
Good. Best episode of the series. Yep. Bill was written superbly and her fear was as visceral as any companion's experience has been, except perhaps Perry being strangled by old Sixie. It says blinding stuff. Look forward to next week as well. Jake Birtwhistle says this episode was the episode I was looking forward to the most, and it didn't let down. While it wasn't as good as Flatline or Mummy, it was still scary, tense, and the scenes where Bill nearly died scared me. I'm not sure how I feel about the Doctor being blind, though. Can't wait for Extremis. 8 out of 10.
Cheers, Jake.
Lewis Palmer, I love this one. Looked amazing, particularly exterior CG shots of the space station. The monsters were unsettling, and I hope kids will be absolutely terrified by them. This is what space should feel like, incredibly lonely and scary place to be, and this episode played on that fear perfectly. Bill's reaction made it more interesting and unsettling. She gets put through the ringer, as you said, Adam, in this, and it shows the fact that the Doctor is blind is a game changer, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Overall, 8.5.
Cheers, Lewis. Yeah. Indeed.
Our last audio clip is Jay Kent.
Hey, Gary and Adam. Hope you're doing all good. Now, I don't know how I feel about Oxygen. The episode, I mean, not the element. I'm kind of a big fan of the latter. I think it's certainly an alright concept, the episode this is, but I felt a bit let down. The ending just left a lot unanswered. I liked how the Doctor made the characters' lives valuable to their suits, but what happened after that? Have the suit zombies just been left and they got back to the TARDIS somehow? Don't get me wrong, I think the overall concept was cool and believable. Nardole continues to get on my good side, and there were some terrific moments like when Bill dies, but aside from that, it just seemed this episode didn't do a lot of what it could have. Something to make it seem more epic was needed, like a chase on the outside of the station or something. And as for the cliffhanger, it's definitely left me speechless. I like how the Doctor's choices had consequences and the effects on his eyes were done brilliantly throughout the episode, but it just seems like such an odd thing. Oh well, I give Oxygen a 6 out of 10. Hope you're having a good one, guys, and unlike the Doctor, I'll see you next week.
Oh, very good.
Cheers, Jay.
Thank you, Jay. Right, back on Facebook, George Coppen. The series going from strength to strength, and this was no exception. Love the plot, and the villains are as creepy as anything. But with an ending like that, I can't wait to see what happens next. 7.5. Leslie Shergold says, utterly, utterly brilliant. Jamie, that sounds like Timmy Mallet. Utterly, utterly brilliant. Jamie for the next head writer's job after Chibbers. I've been really pleased with the 5 episodes so far. I've been left wondering why on earth a sustained run like this couldn't have happened in 8 or 9. Yes, we know, Leslie. As much as I love the Moff's work, he should have been asked to give up. Who or Sherlock, it seems clear that the quality has been spread far too thin.
Yes, well.
Joseph Howarth, I seriously loved this episode, full of adrenaline watching this, and really thought Bill had died. By far the best the series has given us so far. Looking forward to seeing next episode. Brilliant episode from a great classic series writer. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. No high score.
Sammy Satine from Down Under says Jamin Thiessen may have just written a story worthy of Big Finish. But I have my doubts. I want to hug 12 right now. 8 out of 10. Danny Brown's Sublime Space Station epic with all the regulars on top form. Nardole doing great along with Bill, and the Doctor again was on form. Direction was on point, and the whole story looked brilliant. 8 out of 10. And lastly, Stan Gallagher said, I love the effects and the atmosphere, found the story strange. Still a 6 out of 10. Have to say Peter, Bill and Matt are a great team.
They are. Love the TARDIS team.
Yes. Anything over on the Geeks Handbag, mate?
We did, but yes, mostly positive on Geeks. Thanks for your comments. As we've already read out a lot, I'll just whiz through sort of the general gist, which was Kevin McCullen said it was utterly brilliant, gave it 10 out of 10. Malcolm Patterson is not so impressed. He thinks Capaldi's Doctor is being thoroughly wasted, so yeah, he's not too happy. Dean Jones loved it. He gave it 8 out of 10. Martin Arnold said it was blinding.
Brilliant.
Cheers, Martin. No, cheers, Martin. I'm joking. So yeah, mostly people liked it. Charlie Turner wasn't so impressed. He said bad but not horrible, so he gave it a 5 out of 10. So he wasn't too impressed. But over on the Twitter, I did my usual poll asking what people would rate it. 4% said poor, 8% said average, 23% said good, and a massive 65% said excellent. So it was overall very good, I think.
Overall.
Another positive one.
Yes.
We are really on a roll, aren't we, at the minute? 5 episodes in, and there's not one that I would say there's been no Forest of the Night yet. Let's put it that way. I could happily go back and watch any of them so far.
Yes, I mean,
there's no skipping on the DVD box set for me at the moment.
Absolutely not. I'm still going to wait for the complete one instead of getting them in 2 parts.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a pre-order, like a must. I mean, I think I left it so long before buying Series 9.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it was out maybe 2 or 3 months before I bought it. I didn't even pre-order it. But I think this one is definitely a pre-order for sure.
Oh, it is. It is, especially as I haven't got Pilot recorded because my box didn't record it, and it really bugs me. So I've got them all recorded if I want to go back and watch them, apart from Pilot, which I absolutely love. So yeah, I can't wait to get it, actually.
Yeah, unless, of course, the second half of this series is absolutely dreadful, in which case the part 1 Blu-ray might be good.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you've always got that option.
Yeah. But no, thank you very much for sending in all your stuff to us. That's really, really cool. Next week, don't need to tell you what we're going to do. We'll be reviewing Extremis.
Yeah, so excited about that. It looks brilliant. I hope it's as good as it looks.
Yeah, I honestly think it's going to be the turning point of the series, that one.
Yeah, it's got Missy in it, isn't it? So we'll see. But yeah, man, it looked good.
Yes. I think we're going to do there for 141. Is it 141 or 142? We're going to do there for 143. You're not going to keep going?
Oh, just singing away to myself.
Thank you for sticking with us and listening through episode 142. We've had some great news and some not so great news, depending on your point of view. Missy going, good thing, bad thing, I don't know. Stay tuned for next week. I think we might progress this idea a little bit further. We might put something out there for you to name our Dalek.
Yeah.
Our merch Dalek. I keep saying he. It needs a proper name. Because Dalek is just, it's species, I suppose. It's kind. It's not individual yet, not unique.
It's a mutant blob. It's polycarbonate.
Very good.
Is it?
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
Sounds good though.
I'm just looking at our scores, mate. We've agreed on every scores have been the same for every episode so far.
So far, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Wowzers. I think there was one that was different, but I think overall.
Oh, no. Was it? Yeah.
Or did we change our mind and go, actually, no, I agree with something like that?
Yeah, it's been nothing drastic yet.
No, nothing drastic yet. Come on.
Come on.
Head over to our website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of the previous episodes on there, and it's got links to all of our social stuff. So head over to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Give us a like and a follow, because we're always active on all that stuff throughout the week in between our episodes. Thank you so much for sending in your reviews and stuff like that. If you want to get involved, just jump onto our Facebook community. That's where all the reviews are. Instead of listening to us read them all out laboriously, just jump over and give us your review on there as well. Head over to the website on Adam's channel. You can find it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Just search for The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, City of Death video's out now. Go watch it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And the outtakes are very funny as well.
Yes, go see the outtakes. Yeah, a little behind the scenes.
Indeedy. And also, you can find our show on iTunes. So just do a search on that. And if you're an iTunes listener, a rating and a review would be awesome, because that helps us out loads. Indeedy. Right. Until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...